was diagnosed in 74, 75 with retinitis pigmentosa, and the doctor said, learn Braille and don't have kids.
Chris Flynt has retinitis pigmentosa, a progressive disease that eventually causes total blindness.
When my eyes started getting worse, I quit driving in 1991. I went to college in 92, and that was right at the start of the internet, so I started researching retinitis pigmentosa and found out, this just isn't a nuisance or a hindrance. It's can be a pretty serious thing.
3 in 10 Americans are seriously visually impaired or blind. Some have been blind since birth. Others, like Chris, have lost their sight gradually. Still others lose their sight all at once.
Some folks lose their vision later in life all at once. And that has a psychological effect on them. They tend to be shut in. They're afraid to get out and try to do things because it's just a scary world out there that you can't see.
Oh, it was a dramatic change. I felt as though I lost a lot of independence because, of course, I drove and I was used to doing everything on my own.
Attitude's very important. You gotta start with a good attitude. We'll get what we call newbies, people newly blinded or just getting out really into mainstream socialization, that sort of thing. And they're pretty down, but once you accept that you can't see like you did see, then you learn how to live without seeing, but still being able to do the things that pretty much for the most part you want to do.
Through his efforts, Chris has transformed the lives of many in Winston-Salem's blind community.
We started a Brighter Path program December of 2005, and we started with the idea of building a room that would be a multi-purpose room for, could be a classroom, a training room, whatever. We had several computers, I think 3. We were going to get 3 computers, and we had, I think, 300 audio books on tape.
I don't know what drives him. That's just the way he is. He sees a lot of people that just aren't living life. They need opportunities. They need a chance. Everybody deserves a chance, and he just would like to see the blind and visually impaired community more independent.
Well, there are very few things that really a person who's blind or visually impaired can't do. Of course, the obvious are driving a car.
Let's go, you're holding us up.
Things like that, but other than just running into stuff, life's okay.
The very first time I met Chris, humorous, funny. He meets no strangers. I walked in his office and he was sharing with me they were starting a Toastmasters program, and he said, "What do you want to do Toastmasters?" I'm like, "No." I would be afraid to get up and talk in front of people, and he was like, "Oh, come on now." So he kept nudging me, and finally I did, and it's a wonderful club. We have a lot of fun, and that was the first experience. He's just constantly motivating you instantly.
Yeah, we have several programs here, and we have a Lions Club that was chartered here, and it's basically visually impaired members. We have a community choir. We have a blind dart team. We have a book club that meets every other week. We have Toastmasters meet 3 times a month. And that's the whole goal of A Brighter Path, is to create that independence.
I was shocked when I first came to work here. I was very shocked at the lack of awareness. When I first came to work here, people did not know how to guide a person who was blind around properly. They had no idea how to use a white cane properly, how to keep things organized and safe. Before, people were just walking anywhere on the aisles out there running into each other. He's got it fixed now. We're just like when you drive, you stay on the right side of the aisle at all times, and we've fixed a lot of those problems.
To me, not the other folks, but to me the worst thing is just running into stuff and here in the aisles running into people. I don't know if people have never been taught to walk on the right-hand side. If everybody's on the right-hand side, you will never hit. But we have a safety manager now, and we are starting to enforce what I call just common courtesy things. Walking on the right side of the hall, don't stand in the middle of the aisle talking. If a visually impaired person hears somebody coming, typically we say hello. probably not going to have a conversation, but we know somebody's there, so we say hello, and they just keep going. So we're trying to change that culture a little bit.
Not only has he changed the culture around here, but he's also reached out to the community. We have a program, it's a kids' day camp in the summertime for 5 weeks, and he sees a need there. A lot of blind and visually impaired kids now aren't getting the proper training because of budget cuts, because things are so tight, and Chris doesn't want to see that happen. You know, he wants to reach out to anybody he can, especially the kids, and get them in here, and we have activities for them, we have a little bit of education for them, and we teach them how to be independent.
A lot of things that Miracle has experienced, I would not have let her venture into it, you know, without the reassurance that we've come to know here and the trust until, you know, sky's the limits. If Mr. Chris says she can do it, she can do it. I don't know, being here has helped her to grow in her situation and not even seem bothered by it. And when I think of Chris, the passion that he has, that's what drives him, and you see it in him with the time and the attention that he takes with these people that he had to learn to know, because he had to meet Miracle, he had to begin to care about Miracle, and then he took up time with Miracle because, you know, she was special like all the people here are to Chris, and he's just probably one of the most incrediblest people I've ever met.
Chris Flynt's life sings a jingle that you just can't get out of your head, one of those tunes that just goes on, and you'll never forget. And that's sort of how he is in the lives of the blind and visually impaired people around here, constantly motivating you to continue to do your best.
For us, he's really been one of a kind. Very supportive. You know, when there's some need that we have, some desire that we have pertaining to Miracle and her situation, if there's no one else to call, we can call Mr. Chris, and he can direct us in the right direction to get the services that we need, the help that we need, just information.
He's always been there for me for moral support. I mean, if I'm depressed, he talks to me and make me laugh. He's just always there. He's just been a constant ever since I met him.
And we didn't have Tad's room before. You know, this is all his. The lab, the library, it's all his ideas. And we never had that before.
Chris is just a phenomenal person, and if I could think of one word to describe him, it would just be wow. Yeah.
A Brighter Path, I think, I think liken it to talking about America being the light on the hill. You know, always being there, being strong. And A Brighter Path, I think, kind of says that. And I know it's for blind and visually impaired, but, you know, making the world brighter for everybody is a good thing, especially when your world probably wasn't so bright to start with.
He's wonderful.